I think from all of us, many, many congratulations on reaching the next major mark. And we all of us wish that both you and Vilasji in particular, but all of us, I think we attain further and further in our spiritual growth.
Yes, it will go to happen. I was telling Bobby, I just spoke to him a few minutes ago. So I told him, and best part of the whole equation is that Bobby was at the right time and right place and right situation and all that. And he prepared food for Shaniel. It's even more amazing.
You did.
So nice. We have a good group now.
Yeah,
Two Anāgamis.
Yes.
Sadhu.
We have a good teacher now.
Yeah, if you don't like one, you can go with another one. So
No, like two. We don't want only the Anāgami.
Bobby also included it.
We want soon Arihant, not Anāgami one.
that's fine. It's nice. So see, the advantage now is that like I was talking about, I'm from top down, he's from bottoms up. So ultimate aim is to come out of suffering. It doesn't matter whether you go top down approach or you go bottoms up approach. If bottom up approach is working, you should go. If top down is working, you should take. In fact, you can take both of them. You can take top down and bottoms up. So your speed will be much faster than both of us.
Definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's benefit to both. And some would resonate more with others and, the other one for other people. But at the end of the day, whatever works for you, you should use it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let me allow people to join in and then. Okay, so Shaniel will do something like a Chula Vedala. Chula means small and Vedala is questions. Okay.
Okay.
So it's like, I know, but still for the benefit of all people or whoever is trying to make things work. So I'll ask some questions and you can take your time and answer the way you would like to put it. Okay.
Okay.
So how do you know you are a Sotapanna?
Oh, how do I know? Oh, sorry. Just 1 second. Okay, so your question, how do you know you're a Sotapanna?
Yeah, or rather, I'll modify the question this way. When did you come to know you're a Sotapanna? Through what you came to know?
Okay. So the short answer is through my experience.
Yes, absolutely through experience. Yes, go ahead.
I'll elaborate on that. So, I've been practicing, when I attained that stage, I'd been practicing for about 2 years, and obviously a couple of different techniques, but all complementary ones. So Goenkaji's course was the first thing I did, but after that, I practiced that very thoroughly. Every day, how he recommends 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. And I could feel that my Vipassana practice was improving and getting stronger. But I also realized my samatha was weak. So, someone recommended Chuladasa's book, Mind Illuminated, and I practiced that very diligently, slowly and steadily, building up my samatha practice. And then the way that I came to know that I had attained Sotapanna was I was meditating one day and my ability to penetrate, the object, my object was like the breath. The ability to penetrate that became so strong that, I could see the arising and passing away very clearly. And as a result of that, thankfully I've learned not to get too excited or anything. I just watched patiently as that process sort of went through the stages of insight, one after another, until I had a cessation event, where all of existence just winked out. And then, I was back, but, I couldn't sort of tell how long I was gone for. But when I did come back, there was that that sense of peace and bliss that was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. And even the cessation event was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. So I had not read about these things beforehand, but after that happened, like I knew about the fetters, the 10 fetter model. And when I came back, I just knew like, okay, unshakable doubt, this is the path. I've experienced something that is out of this world, and it was unmistakable. And then, that unshakable doubt, that self sort of view, like that I am this body. Through that experience, I knew that that is not the case. I'm not this body. And rites and rituals, like I was never really into rites and rituals, but after this, I knew, okay, well, those things are not the things that get you to this point. It is that diligent practice, following the Buddha Dhamma, maintaining your sila, and regular practice to develop your skills so that you can have the insights that lead you to this point. So that was how I came to know. And then obviously I'd read a bit further and I'd seen other people talk about this stage of progression. So that confirmed it for me. But I knew, like for myself, I knew.
Okay, good. Very nice. Appreciate it. So the second question is that, is it necessary for anyone to have some understanding of Buddha Dhamma to be a Sotapanna?
It's an interesting question. I think you need to know, like for me, what I needed to know, Goenkaji's 10-day course was a crash course in Buddha Dhamma, right? So I think you do need to know some things, but the basics really. It is about keeping your sila. It is about how do you get insight through the practice, doing vipassana sort of meditation. And also learning about Anapanna, developing enough samatha so that you can then apply these things together. So I think you do need to know about the Buddha Dhamma, but you don't need to know deeply, because I've never had a lot of experience with the suttas or anything like that until I came into contact with Vilasji. The only things that I had read were, I managed to get a copy of the Dhammapada, and I was reading that from time to time. But really for me, that was more about inspiration. Like whenever I had any difficulties in my practice or I did something that went wrong, then I'd always bring that and read it, and that gave me more inspiration to continue practicing.
Good. Thank you. So what it comes up is that if somebody is maybe if they're starting, and then he doesn't have to worry about the Buddha Dhamma part of it, except for morality sense, meaning some little bit of information is what is required about, okay, is it permanent or impermanent, or it is something, pain or painful or suffering or not suffering, and non-self. I don't even understand non-self, but some information of that should be sufficient to be starting on that, right?
Yes, for sure. And for me, like the thing, the thing that I really sort of took from Goenkaji's course was the 3 characteristics, tilakana, and particularly impermanence. That was the one that resonated the most for me. So I think, you need to have that little bit of knowledge and understanding, and then understand the practice. And eventually these things start to reveal themselves. And when they do, you know what's happening, right? So you just need a little bit.
Right. So some people get into this notion that they need to attend many retreats of Goenkaji to get somewhere, or they might even get to a opinion that getting into a Sotapanna stage itself is lifetime achievement, if at all it happens. So did it not deter you, or did it not make you feel uneasy, or rather not so confident? Because if everyone says, if you talk to any assistant teacher in the tradition, they would say that it's very difficult to be a Sotapanna. Or even if you go anywhere like in Thailand or in Burma or in Sri Lanka, and then you were to ask, can I become a Sotapanna? They say that this is one of the thing which is almost next to impossible in this life. Yeah, it's a lifetime goal and achievement. So what do you have to say for that?
Hmm. So I mean, I think when people say that, it's probably doing a disservice to a lot of people that want to pursue the path. Now, for me, the reason I came to the path was because I experienced, suffering in my life, and I wanted to find a way out of suffering. And um, I didn't have this idea whether it was possible or not within this lifetime. And I knew that it was difficult, but when I'd experienced that suffering, I really spent a lot of time doing introspection and trying to think about what is it that I need to do? What changes do I need to make in my life, to be happy, come out of suffering? So, alongside of that, I made a strong commitment and I did that I do my best, to go down this path. And honestly, like when I looked at it, it was the Buddha Dhamma is very pragmatic. You know, it's it's not like you need to have this devotion. Like I'm not a devotional person. I'm a pragmatic person. Give me a list of things to do, and I'll do it to the best of my ability. So I followed those steps, and I knew, okay, I had to maintain my sila, pancha sila, and I did that like diligently. So before that, I used to lie, I used to drink, I used to do many of those things, break the sila. But when I said I want to get myself out of suffering and I have to follow these, I'm going to commit to it and do it to the best of my ability. And anytime when I make a mistake or break that sila, I will do whatever I can to restore it straight away. And I really took that to heart, like so much so that even for trivial things like, playing games with others that involved deception or lying, I would not lie even to play a game. Like I kept my sila scrupulously. And then I knew, Goenkaji said that when you come out of that course, you have this precious sapling that you need to protect, right? And you do that by building a fence and watering it. So morning and evening, I would do the practice regardless. So I just did the things that were mentioned, and I even understood that Buddha also said, "Don't believe me, come and see for yourself." So I like that pragmatic approach. Here's the steps, follow it. So I followed it. So that required faith and all those other things, but I think it needed discipline and commitment to that path. So I didn't worry about what people said about, oh, you can't achieve this in this lifetime. I just looked at, okay, what are the things I need to do? Let's do it to the best of my ability and let's see. And, it meant making a lot of changes in my life. Like, I'm very busy with work and stuff, but I made the time to meditate in the morning for 1 hour and the evening for 1 hour. And, obviously I have family commitments too with my children, but I made sure that regardless of those things, I still made the time. And then, the beautiful thing was when you do that, the path slowly unfolds. It's self-revealing in front of your eyes, and that gives you more and more confidence.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good one.
And I didn't have that expectation. I thought whatever's going to happen will happen, and it did. It unfolded for me step by step.
Yes, it does. Good. Very nice. So from where you are getting is that three things what I pick up from what you're saying is that one, you need to have diligence. Two is that you need to be convinced that you're suffering. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay. Meaning you need to have some suffering. Let's say, as an example, your parent dying or being in hospital and not able to take care of something happening with your spouse, or you might be divorced, or you have some monetary issues or something which can break the illusion that things are not working as you want it to work. And that, I think so, is a turning point in anybody's life to go inward, because otherwise We are more outward. We would like to make things work because we think logical that we have to do something to make it work. Right? So
Mm.
that's the quest of human nature, just to make
Mhm.
things work. So what I understand from you is that if you were to get into understanding some suffering, it can be not this suffering or that suffering, some suffering, which you've tried your best to push it or do whatever and it didn't work, and then you find this path. I mean, you try to find a way out of the suffering. So that's what I think from your words. And a third important aspect is that you need to have the perseverance to do it. Like, you went into the Goenka technique, a morning 1 hour, evening 1 hour. It doesn't matter whether you accept, you don't accept, you fight, or you don't, whatever it is. You're making sure that you are following whatever he has said. Goenka has said 1 hour, in that 45 minutes on Vipassana, 15 minutes on the Metta in the morning, and once in the evening. So I think that's what would have made a lot of insights for you. That's what I think so.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that, and I also think that it's important. Like, you want to come out of suffering, and you have to really experience that. When you have when you reach some of these attainments and things, or even you do a course, 10-day course, and you come out feeling great. You really want to encourage other people to do it, but I learned very quickly that you really can't convince someone else unless they've experienced that suffering and they want, like you said, they kind of wake up and think, okay, maybe there's another way, like I'm not going down the right path. So that really pushed me in that direction. And I've seen with people in my life, you see they're having trouble, but you can't really help them until they hit that point where they really suffer. And then it's like, okay, then they'll maybe come to you and say, can you help? So you really need to hit that point.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's very nice. That's a very good observation one should have, is, are they really suffering? And 99.99% of them are not suffering.
Mhm.
Meaning their view of suffering is, I'm not able to make money.
Mm.
They're not really suffering, or they're getting a job, or they want another job, or some trivial things in life. They have not really seen suffering as death, suffering as aging, suffering as something which you can't stop, meaning you can't just do anything to stop this from happening over and over again. And then, like, if somebody loses their parent or spouse or whatever it is, or children, then there is voidness, and that voidness pulls the person to something. Let me do something about it. That means either he will go into depression, or he or she gets into depression forever, or he will try to fight it out and do something different. Yeah, good answer, Daniel. And then the next question I had was that, okay, now you started with this, and you read Chuladasa's book, and the Chuladasa book is a huge one. It's a big volume, basically. So when somebody starts, he gets overwhelmed. In fact, Chuladasa has done it very nice, 10 stages. He explains 1, 2, 3 stage as a novice, and 4, 5, 6, something you're coming up in 7, 8, 9, 10 is adept. So from a trainee to an adept, or to a novice to a trainee, something like that. So basically, how did you approach that book? I mean, somebody referred it to you, that is true. But when you started reading, I mean, what made you impressed with that book?
Mm. And so when it was recommended to me, like the person that recommended it knew what my goal was. I wanted to achieve full enlightenment, and he had come across this book, so he gave it to me. And I think he gave me the advice, and it's also in the book, that you should just take it stage by stage. Don't read the whole book. Like, there's always this tendency in us to just read, and it's like, oh, intellectually I get it, but I made sure that it's a big book, but I just read stage 1 practice, and the introduction, the first interlude, And then I just stayed with stage 1 practice. And I didn't bother reading any further. And I spent time until I had mastered, I could do what stage 1 required. And then I read stage 2. So I took it step by step over the course of probably 12 months, just working my way through. And the beautiful thing about that book is you don't have to get to stage 10 to have some real insights. It's structured in such a way where you're developing the basic skills, which naturally, as those skills mature, you will start to have experiences, and then which will lead to insight. And so, I just made sure that I followed that book stage by stage, didn't rush ahead, and I spent the time practicing. Like practicing was the key for me. Just make sure every day I was still doing my Vipassana practice, but I'd always set aside an hour to do the practice of what Culadasa was teaching.
Good, very nice. So I think if somebody were to, okay, before that, I just wanted to ask your opinion on, some people feel that they need to keep on doing retreats in Goenka technique. Like, I did a 10-day course, and then I feel I need to do another 10-day course, and then I feel another 10-day course, and then a 20-day course, thinking that in 20 days course, it will be something different. And then the 30 days, and then the 45 days, and then the 60 days. So it's like running the mill. So what didn't you get something like, I need to now do 20-day course or another few more 10 days course? And then what made you stop after the 10-day course? Because generally when you get into the Goenka course, I myself have seen it, is that you feel so impressed with that, you feel like you found it, you found what you were searching for, and it's very hard to give up, right? So then it's a natural tendency to do the next course because you're looking forward. So I would rather book after 3 months to another 10-day course, because something I had never known, and it's so divine that, Goenka is such a person who has gifted this Dhamma to me, and then I never knew anything. And I don't want to do this traditional thing, and and in fact I don't know Pali. So if somebody were to give me the book, and which is Anguttara Nikaya and this Nikaya and that Nikaya, I feel, don't tell me I have to read all of this. And if the person persists and say that, no, Vilas, you need to read all of this, I'll say that then I don't want this, because I'm a very pragmatic person. I need some fruits instantly, because I would like to see whether it works. And I'm not going to buy the product just by the label. I'm going to buy the product by what it works. So why didn't you feel that you need to take another 10-day course and another 10-day course?
Well, I was also very impressed after the first 10-day course, because I got a lot of benefit out of it, because I had so many sankharas and like all these gross sensations in my body. By the end of that 10-day course, I was able to dissolve a lot of those. And, I felt so light, and my body was like no longer so stiff from the stress of this job. But I also knew that it was really, this was the foundation and the framework for me to achieve that. But it comes down to your own efforts, and that first course was very hard. So I always tell people it's the hardest thing that I've done in my life, but also the most rewarding. And the thing was, whenever it got hard, like I'm very good at following instructions. So I would look at, okay, what was the last thing I needed to do? And I just really worked hard on that, being able to turn up to the hall for all of the sessions, and sit there regardless of how much pain there was, and keep on practicing whatever the practice was until I could start to get it, and then move on to the next thing, not try and rush ahead and not daydream. And I really, out of, every 12-hour day, 12 hours of meditation, I probably spent, 11 and a half hours maybe meditating, so I really put the effort in. So I knew that coming out of that, okay, this is great. Like, it's a great environment where you can go, and a lot of the distractions are taken away. And I had that intention to do another course, and I did, but it probably took me another 2 years before I could. But that effort that I put in, I just put it into my daily life. Make sure I keep doing the practice and practice diligently, keep my sila, all of those things. So, and I was getting benefit from that. But I did know that I need to find time to do longer sessions, right? And so what I did was, it's not always easy to get into a center here. So I also just started to set that time aside and just do a 10-day course here at my place, in my Sunyakara. So it didn't matter about the center or anything like that. It's like how much time you're willing to put into, working on the path. And so for me, that was like at least 2 hours every day, morning and night. And then only once a year, because, I don't have a lot of free time, I would do a 10-day, either at a center or here. And I only did I think 2 at a center, and I've done three here at my place. So that was it. And I served once as well, a 10-day as well at a center. So doing the course over and over again doesn't really matter unless you're practicing diligently and you're putting the effort in. That was more important. Doesn't matter where you are, you can do that at home.
Right, absolutely. I agree on that point. And another thought comes is that, okay, this path is for those people who never drink, never smoke, never had sex, or never gone to a prostitute, or never went to a gentleman club, or whatever. Say whatever vices, like you go to Las Vegas and they say, what you do in Vegas stays in Vegas. So the first time I was in Vegas, and then I was asking my my GM that, why do they say that whatever you do in Vegas stays in Vegas? And he said, Vilas, by evening you'll come to know. I can't tell you right now why we say that. And then when you are witnessing it for yourself, your senses are going to get so overwhelmed in life that you wouldn't even know what's happening with you. And as it turned out, by the early evening, by 5 o'clock or something, it was fun and frolic. You just can't stop seeing anything and not getting, hooked up whatever you're seeing or doing. So that's Vegas. So what happens here is that I've been to Vegas for 6 times, and then every time I've been there, it's given me a different kind of sensual experience. And then it would mean that I'm, if I were to ask someone, if I were to share all of my things, and then that guy would say, this Buddha Dhamma is not for you, because this is for people who are moral and who are, very much scrupulous and, diligent and all of that kind. And you are one kind of a sensually, filled up person. So it's not for you. So I think you would have encountered something similar, because you are of the same kind of background like mine. And then what do you do? What would you feel now?
Well, sure. Like I definitely was no saint, when I was younger. So, I was drinking and doing many things that I, that don't align with the Buddha Dhamma. But as I started to progress on this path, I knew that it is about giving up some of these things. So yeah, I got onto this path when I was like 41, 42 maybe in earnest. So there's many years, I was drinking from the age I was like 15. And so up until I got onto this path, so there's many years when I was engaging in things that I shouldn't have been doing. But inherently, especially here in this culture, that seemed to be the normal thing to do.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
You just do it and you indulge in these things. But eventually you come to realize the harm that you're doing to yourself. And especially as you progress on the path. So when I came out, I'd given up drinking maybe 6 months before I did the course, because I knew that this is not a good thing. And similarly, when I finished that course, I was eating meat and everything before then, and killing beings. all of that I stopped after that first course because I knew that this this is a path where maybe you've done all of these things beforehand, but it's what you do from here forward that really matters, right? And what your intentions are. So slowly, I realized that it is a path of being able to give up all of these vices that you might have had. And as you give them up, you progress further and further along the path. So you don't have to be a saint to get onto the path. But
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And then you can see changes in yourself. If the more wise you are, I mean, wise is not WISE, BIC, the more wises you have. And I think that's a right person to get into Buddha Dhamma.
yes,
I think the saint cannot get into Buddha Dhamma because they're already saints. So then they are no sinners. So I think the sinner is the person who should be in the Dhamma because he requires training to train his mind and an adept person or the person who has not sinned in their life. What's the Dhamma for them? There's nothing. They already done what they're supposed to do. They're cooled off where we are heated up people, right? We just get heated up for no great reason. Yeah, that I agree. So it never stuck to you or it never made you feel guilty that, oh, you know what, I'm now on this Dhamma and then will I ever achieve something because I used to drink, I used to smoke, I used to hang on with girls, had sex, had all kind of things. And I can't express all those things on public, but then so many things I have done in my life, which looks insane that, and especially in my case, I'm a Westerner in Indian clothes. So basically, when I go to the West and I'm just wild West person, so then I feel I'm the West person. And then in America, it's just being there and just loving whatever those guys do. And then that means go out and do whatever it is. So I didn't feel any guilt about when I came to the Dhamma. So I just wanted to check with you, what's your take on that? Did you feel guilty afterwards? Oh, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have drank. I should have smoked. I should have done this. I should have done that. Did you feel it any time?
no, I did not, and for a few reasons, but also like in the Buddha teachings, like you hear about people like Angulimal,
Yes.
the things that they did. So like if that person can progress, then why can't I? And the thing that I felt, like restlessness and remorse is one of the hindrances, right? So everything that I did before this time, some of that is still there in my mind, but drinking and stuff like that, like I never had a problem. But what I found, which was to my benefit, is that anything that I did to harm someone before then, like that remorse would be there in my heart. And I, step by step, reached out to all of these people and tried to settle these, disputes or whatever.
Excellent.
And then,
Excellent.
as that happened, then my practice grew,
Yes.
grew and grew and grew. My heart just grew bigger and bigger. And, even like when I flew back from San Francisco to Brisbane, I met someone at the airport who used to work for me about 10 years ago. And I remember I had a very big argument with him. Like I was his boss, on the deck where I was shouting at him and stuff. And like when I saw him this time, I had nothing but love in my heart for him. And, he came over and said hi, and I just gave him a big hug. And so like any of those things that you've done in the past, like slowly, you just clear all of those. You forget about those things. And, remorse is no longer a problem for you. No guilt, no remorse.
Right. Yeah. And another thing which I found through my experience, I think you would have also found it, is that you lose a sense of animosity towards anyone, including yourself. So you're not going to be biting yourself crazy that I shouldn't have done this. In fact, I still remember my first visit to US, where my boss made me drink the whole day and the whole night just to discuss about trends in India. Okay, I was totally blown out, and at the end, I didn't even know when did I reach the hotel, or how did I go to the floor, how did I sleep, and when I woke up, I had Jack Daniels in my hand. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I went and told him, hey, how can you do this to me? He said, Vilas, just enter the party. That's it. And tonight we're going to have the same thing what you had yesterday. Okay, so I know what takes to break something. It's not easy, right? So then you lose animosity. Now I don't have animosity towards my boss who made me drink like crazy because he drinks and he wants somebody to drink along with him, irrespective of whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter. And then every Fridays we in the office you have wine, and beer is a everyday business. So then you just have beer while working and you have wine while on Fridays, because it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. The afternoon, just go to the pantry and take a wine, just pour it, and just start working, and then go back to the room and then continue with the party. So I didn't have any animosity. That's one thing I would have found, that you would start blaming others for because they introduce you to all of these things. And then what I found is that animosity goes away. I think that's the same thing you would have had. Once you start taking up.
Yeah, and you take responsibility, for your actions, and you try not to obviously, indulge in those things or create those things again.
Yep, that's true. Good. So the next question which comes up is that how somebody has not heard about Chuladasa or mind illuminated. Can he still illuminate his mind by reading suttas?
Yes, for sure, because maybe not so much about the technique that he teaches or the the in-depth practices, but when I came in contact with you, like my understanding of the Buddha Dharma was expanded so much, especially like how well you explain concepts and how you break down the finer teachings. Like where I had reached in my practice, that directly helped me to understand many things, many gaps that I had. And not just that, like whenever you or Bobby are talking about a sutta, I quickly bring it up and I look at it, and I get so much more inspiration and just joy from reading the words of the Buddha as well. So I definitely think people can get their mind illuminated from the suttas.
Okay, good. So then the next question I had is that, you were accomplished in, let's say, Goenka and Chuladasa, and you knew for yourself you're Sotapanna. Now, how did you come to know that you have reached the second stage, which is Sakadagami? What made you get there? What did you do to get there? And then how did you arrive at this conclusion? Because nowhere in this, at least as far as I know, on YouTube or even some teachers, or you go and meet someone in Australia or in somewhere, monks, and then or the about of a particular monk, and then you ask him, can I know, am I a Sakadagami? And then he would say that even I don't know whether you are Sotapanna or not. I forget about Sakadagami. And then, can you make an assessment, the person whom I'm meeting is a Sakadagami, and there's no way. And can I ask him, how can I become a Sakadagami? And there's no answer either. So that means you have to figure it out by yourself, which is like going in a maze. So I know you're a gamer, so you would find an answer to how to cross the levels. But for people like us who are not into gaming, and then we don't know how to really unearth things, and then what would make a person know for himself or herself that they have reached Anāgami? Sorry, Sakadagami.
So for me, it's really about patterns and taking the time to understand your experiences, so that you know what is happening. Because what I've seen is there's a lot of things which will be similar for many people on the path, and particularly for yourself. Like you'll be able to identify things like, okay, now I know I'm in this jhana, or this jhana, and that happens with repetition, your daily practice, being observant, being aware, watching and seeing how things are going on. And then at the same time, like, okay, you might be able to identify those patterns, but you don't know what they are. So I spent a lot of time obviously looking on the internet and trying to find out bits of information here and there about, who is actually sharing what goes on in this process that we're all going through. And the other thing for me is, like, after I attained Sotapanna, I was clinging to that experience. I wanted to have this again and again and again. And that was a huge impediment to my practice for maybe 2 or 3 years, like nothing really happened. And it was only when I started to let go and relax, that I started to see the steps and the stages that led me to Sotapanna, the stages of insight, the Vipassana and Jnanas, because they're very identifiable, each of those steps. So I could review and see, and then I learned, okay, well, this is this stage, and then this leads to this, and this is what it feels like. So I could know where I was on that path. The other thing was my daily practice. I kept that up, but I also did the 10-day, like at least once a year, 10 days where I could get much deeper into the practice. And I was using Goenkaji's technique for that. I would just get in there 3 days, I'd do Anapana, and then I'd do Vipassana. Top of the head, tip of the toes, and then repeat and repeat. And that also gave me a lot more insights into, like, what is happening in the mind and the body and how they're connected and interrelated. And it allowed me to penetrate more deeply into, this body structure. I mentioned about being able to feel the chakras and kundalini, all that sort of stuff. Not that was that important, but doing that for that long deepened my base level of what I could do, what I could experience. And with that, it was easier to identify the different states and stages. And so then eventually, when I knew I was starting on the next path, that Sakadagami path, I could sort of see how I was progressing, where I was at. Now, I didn't know what I needed to do, like what practices to help do that. But the basic thing is, like, you're looking at the 3 characteristics, all the time. But as I did more of the 10-day retreats, then I could experience more things. Like, I could start to see the impermanence of, thoughts as well as bodily sensations. And then I could see craving, more clearly when it arose. And I could see the impermanence of that. And I remember when I had that, when I attained Sakadagami, what I was looking at was how the craving was arising and passing away, and switching between craving, aversion. And that helped me continue, to, I guess, progress through the insight stages until the point I knew I was at that last stage before things would flip again, like it would transition to the next. And when it happened, it's a very telltale sign like that there's 3 moments where you change, that lineage, and there's cessation and the bliss that comes after that. It's unmistakable. So when I had that, I knew, okay. And the other thing is the feta model is very useful because I could see after that kamachanda and anger, your will had diminished. So it was no longer like craving for things. It's just like, oh, I prefer this, and I'm not angry at people. It's just like, oh, I might get a bit irritated. I could feel that reduction, like it was tangible. So I knew, okay, I've attained that fruit, and and I can see directly the benefits from that.
Great, excellent. So it is generally said that when you attain the second stage, you will start to see the 8 worldly dhamma disappear, meaning when you hold on to the profit, you'll not see the loss generally. So people hold on to the profit not to see the loss. And the second one is that they want name and fame, but they don't like to be defamed at any point in time. And then they would like to have, praise. Nobody likes blames. And if somebody starts blaming, then you would like to justify why. And then the fourth one is pleasure and pain. So because that's the telltale sign for someone who is in the second. That's the reason he becomes once returner. He returns to this existence because of the kamachanda and vyapada. There's only two things which holds that person. So how did you come to know that you don't have these 8 lokiya dharma?
Well, I think for me, like, yeah, I just didn't get irritated if, in discussions when people were, blaming me or whatever. And, I think, and you mentioned this too, and it became more and more apparent that I was no longer possessive about things. I didn't own these things. These things are just there, to use as best as I can. And, yeah, so it definitely, corresponds to what you're saying. I just had this huge reduction in craving for things. And even like I'd walk and I'd see, there's something there that I would have liked before. And ordinarily I would have gone for it and grabbed it. And then most of the time, I wouldn't even be, affected by it. It's just like, okay, if I'm hungry or something, I'll have it. Otherwise, I'll just leave it alone. And because of that, just life became, a lot simpler for me. I wasn't getting into arguments. I wasn't possessive about things or trying to hoard things or anything like that. It's just like, okay, life is just simple and easy. I just keep going along, continue with my practice.
Excellent. So what changes did it bring in your company? Because you're not only a practitioner, you are a CEO of a company where you need to guide your team. You have 100 plus people working for you. So you are a support system for them. And then what changes did you bring in Half Brick Studios? Because now you are non-possessive. It means market doesn't make any sense any longer. You need to create it. So like, your colleagues or your team members or teammates would see this change. Shaniel has literally lost interest. And then how do we sustain? Because at that time, if you remember, we had Corona. So then people were closing down the shops like crazy. And then you close your office. And maybe in your case, also, you're working from home and you allowed everybody to work from home. That means your Brisbane office officially is defunct. So it's not going to be there. So, and you being a Sakadagami, you would just let it go. I don't care. Okay, whatever happens, happens. And then how do you tie things up? Because I'm asking you this question to you specifically because I'm not a CEO of any company. In fact, I was a CEO of a travel company, and I just gave it up. I just merged it. I said, okay, take it. I don't care. But in your case, you're still the CEO of Half Brick Studio. So is there any time in your life you felt, I need to come out of this, I don't like this anymore?
Yeah. I felt that pull of, do I really want to be in this, or do I just want to focus on the Dhamma? But what I realized is that doing this, being in this position and responsible for so many people is practice. Probably the best practice I'll be able to get, because there's so many instances where things come up which can test all of your, your sankharas and things. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so I, persisted with that, and I found actually more enjoyment too. Like when I saw it that way, that it is a training ground for me to improve. And like the feedback that I would get, and this is the common one, is that like I'm too generous. I give too much away these days. Or when we, I delegate a lot of work and I work collaboratively with people. I don't really get into arguments before. If you were to ask anyone that, I've been doing this for 24 years, people that have been there like 10 years ago, 15 years, 20 years ago, they say, yeah, the Shaniel that's here now compared to that one is drastically different. Not just because of the process of time, but the effect that the Dhamma has had on me has changed me as a person. So yeah, I think lots of benefits, which then ultimately help the company as well, because people feel like they're being listened to and respected, and they're given a lot of autonomy. And it's generosity. I'm not trying to hold things, and keep them here for myself. It's like, let's, all benefit. Let's all share.
Okay, another supportive question to that is that once you start moving from Sakadagami towards Anāgami, it becomes quite obvious that hanging on to anything is a strain, meaning it's just like a burden. But you need to make profits, you need to make revenue for the organization, you need to have the company, you know, stand out, especially in the Western countries, more so than India, that you need to be on that level playing ground. So let's say if I want my products to be included in like what you're doing with Apple or with any other organization, you need to have a standing, you need to have a market standing. Otherwise, it makes no sense. So that means you need to have this aspiration to make the company work and then achieve goals and have the revenue made, and then it contradicts with what you would do as a dhamma person, that you want to let it go rather than doing it's just like a very thin line between how do you balance between the revenue making, which is trying to say you should do it, because if you do a quarter by quarter analysis of your business, and then some product makes sense and some product doesn't make sense to be there on the shelf, so then you need to kill it. And then it comes to see that if you want to kill something, you feel it's a strain. And then if you want to promote something, like in the case of this Fruit Ninja, it's been there for years together, and then you're just making something up, or you're just adding some additional add-on to it, and then now you have a what is that, subscription based pricing. And then that means you're not asking him to buy completely, you're just giving him like a SaaS or a software as a service, and then you're giving game as a service. So how do you balance it? Because as you start reaching towards Anāgami, and then it becomes tough to take a decision which is pure business. That means you have to let go and yet hold on to it. It's just like, somebody wants to cross a river. He has to first let his stiffness go so that he can swim, and yet swim and go to the other side. So it's not a problem for me because I'm not a CEO for any company. And then, whereas you are. So I just want to find out, what do you think?
That's a great question. And I'm smiling because I've already let it go. I know this is impermanent. It's going to be there for some time. Eventually it's going to go. So now there's no clinging and grasping to this. But I also know I'm wearing the CEO hat and I have a responsibility. So I need to set goals, but I do that in line with the Dhamma. I'm not trying to maximize profits all the time and go crazy. Let's do something that's going to be fair and reasonable for our customers, the staff, our partners, and work towards that. So yes, we need goals. We need to set realistic goals, not reach too far and try and squeeze everyone for all the money we can. So a lot of my thinking is driven by that. And what's my intention? I always look, and see, like, am I overreaching, or is this fair? Is this fair for all parties? And then also in dealings with our partners, like, I'm always 100% honest, right? Because I uphold my sila and I don't want to compromise that. So I always share everything. This is what we're doing. This is how much we're making. And then I have no remorse or no worries or anything like that. So, and it just flows.
Excellent. Okay, so on this journey, you would have watched so many videos in search of what's next. Like, if you have done Sakadagami, then you would like to know what's the next. And then you've been searching for videos. So when you wrote to me, you said that you've been for last 1 year, you've been on, oh no, you said that I'm writing to you because you're coming to Brisbane, and then can I meet you while there? Then when we first met on 4th of April, you said after our session, you're saying that you've been closely watching for the last 1 year.
Mhm.
So my question to you is that what made you to search for this person who talks all nonsense rather than the usual way of doing things, like, you need to do this and that? Because I'm a totally a different kind of an individual who doesn't go by the traditional way of dealing things. And then, like Bobby says, you make things look so simple that it seems, it just, you will just become tomorrow, just like, yeah, you just do it, you'll get it. Then and then I use a word called khatam. So he says that khatam, all done. Okay.
Mhm.
So considering that, people will think that I'm really meaning what I say. It's really simple. And when they do it and when they hear it, they feel excited, but they don't know what next to be done. So what made you to stick with this person for this
Mhm.
long?
Mhm. So, firstly, I love unconventional people. I myself am an unconventional person. So, you are a person after my own heart. So that is never a problem. I think, like, honestly, Vilas, like, for me, it's just like, okay, I'm at Sakadagami stage. I want to get to Anāgami. Put it into Google. How do you get from Sakadagami to Anāgami stage? Show me the steps or whatever. And you came up in a video. So then I started watching, and whenever I'd be driving around somewhere, because usually, like, I don't generally just watch, YouTube videos, but when I'm driving, I listen. So I was always listening to what you were saying, and it made a lot of sense. And I could see, related back to my experiences, and I knew, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. They make it very simple, as a insane understanding of Pali and being able to, do that. So I thought, okay, well, here is someone where they can't do the work for me. I still need to do the work, but they can at least point and guide in the right direction. And so I just started going through your sutta series, and, like, I went through so many of them over that course of, 9 to 12 months. And then one of the episodes, you were talking to Bobby, my good friend Bobby here, and saying you were coming to Brisbane, and I couldn't believe my luck. So then I was like, okay, I'll reach out, because I was going to reach out to you maybe 2 or 3 times before, through your email or whatever, but I didn't do it. But I thought I'll listen a bit more and see. And then I listened to enough, and I thought, okay, I better make use of the opportunity when you came to Brisbane.
Okay.
And then since then, like, you showed so many things, practical things that I could then apply, and it's like, oh yeah, I got it. So that only strengthened my confidence in your ability. So thank you very much. I really appreciate
Sure. Good. Okay. So now that the $1 million question is that, are you an Anāgami?
it.
So it's like,
Ask Bobby.
so then the question, right? And how does a Anāgami work, right? And what
Mhm.
change does it bring in him? Actually, between the Anāgami and the Sakadagami, there's one layer that goes away. Okay, that is the sensual side of it, and then there is no vyapada. That doesn't mean that some people think that if you want to show your sternness on something, or assertiveness, you're not an Anāgami. That's a stupid way of saying. It's like you don't have anything in your heart. You just do it for the sake of doing it. Because if some people cannot understand sweet words, then you have to give them some not so sweet words, because then they come to senses, because they have lost their senses. Now you have to bring them to senses. That means if they are high volume, you wait for them to finish. But if that guy is going on and on and on and on and on, then say, shut up. And then he's shaken up. And then make him calm. Okay, what's the point? So just to give an example, these guys had come, the Hindi guys. We went to ISKCON. It's an international school for Krishna consciousness. Okay, so I taken them there. And then one guy, he's joined new as a security person. And then I showed him my card that I am a lifelong patron of ISKCON. That means I can walk inside ISKCON without the need to go in the line. I'm exempted. Okay, forever. Okay. And I showed him the card. He said, "You're not a life patron." I told, it is written there, life patron card. So then I told him, I held his hand, and my wife was there, and the students were there. I said, "Let's go." I was pulling him. "Let's go to the office. Let's prove it, right? Let's prove it. Whether I'm a life patron or not." And he said, then another security fellow came. "Oh, sorry, what happened?" I said, "Look, I'm a life patron person. Here's the card." And he said, yeah, please go. He's sorry about it. I told him, "Look, next time you need to remember, if you don't know, ask. First, read the card, take the card from that person and say that, 'Can I have your card, please? I just want to verify.' Don't argue with this person who has given you the card. Go to the office, check it out, and then come back and say, 'Hey, I'm sorry to hold you on.' You go." So I held his hand. So my wife was asking, "Why are you upset?" I said, "I never got upset. I'm just making him shake him up. Come on. Why are you doing this?" Because I do that in the office as well. So if a team member has not, he's promised to deliver and is not delivered, what should I do to him? Should I appreciate him? "Excellent job, my dear friend. You didn't deliver. So nice." Or talk to him, "I think you should do it. Try your best and do it." No, I'm paid for the job. So I would rather show my upset, but not get upset, because I've taken that role. I've put that cap. Like you rightly said, you're wearing a CEO cap. You should do what you're supposed to do. It doesn't matter because you're an Anāgami or Sakadagami, and then you just play a fool's role. No, you just have to show what it is. But the change here is that internally you don't feel anything. So what do you have to say to that? I mean, am I doing right, or should I be very meek and say that, "Hey, you know what, you shouldn't have done this"? Like that, my wife was asking, "Hey, you shouldn't have held his hand, pulled him to the office. Let's see it. Come, let's see whether I'm a patron or not, and then we'll see it." What do you think?
Yeah, I think you have to play the role too, because even today, like today, it's almost been like testing out the hardware. Like seeing what's changed afterwards, and there's things like I can see already. Like my mind is much more expansive, powerful, bright. Jhanas and stuff are much stronger than they were previously. But there was an exact same example like that where I had to put on that hat as my CEO role and talk to someone. But inside, I was like, it didn't penetrate here. I was like laughing that I had to put on that role.
Yep.
So yeah, you have to play your part still. If we're to exist in this world, we have to play the part. But it doesn't penetrate here, which is an amazing experience, because when I was doing that, I was like laughing, and like even afterwards, I was like laughing. Like it's so funny, that I have to put that on, but it's not really from the heart.
Sure. And like, today's you had some cows at your.
Yes.
So if you find the person who put the cows, you can't be saying that, "Hey, you know what, I'm an Anāgami today." So then you can bring in not only cows. If you want, you can also bring in your caravan and then stay there. No, that's not tenable. You just have to be stern. Being stern is different than being angry.
Exactly.
And being assertive is different than being aggressive. So you lose aggression, you become assertive. You just assert, saying that in this role, you're supposed to be doing this. You're accepted to the role. You better do that role. I'm not asking you to do anything more than the role. Just do the role. Just play the role.
Yeah.
Like I'm a coach and a consultant, and then I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. And then that's my job. I'm a coach, and then you're playing the game. So we are in game. We are in the game of the product development, and then you have to play your game. And otherwise, I can take an action saying that this guy is not doing good. Whether they keep you or not is a secondary issue, but I can always go back and say this team member is causing problem.
Definitely. Yeah. Good. I can relate to that.
Yep. And finally, final question, final thing. It's not a question. Is that This will remain for next 7 days.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm.
In these 7 days, you will have a nice roller coaster ride.
Mhm.
Okay. You won't have experienced anything like this. Every day is going to be fun
Mm.
for the next 7 days. Okay. And then you get complete cessation.
Mm.
Okay. Wait for it.
Mhm.
It comes. And it is tremendous. Like it shows you're an arhat, but you're not. Okay.
Mm.
It just fakes things up. So it's very delicate. It gives you that impression you're done. You completed the journey. But it's far from truth because when it comes back, it's the same state as you were in. But only thing you went too high. It was just like,
Mm.
you just go high. But that is
Mm.
going to happen. One. And the second major thing is that you need to get into more of Dhamma now. Now you have finished that, the jolly ride of 9 jhanas.
Yeah.
Okay. And then now you have to come into the Panya, which is the wisdom path, which we will do it while I'm there. So we will go through more of the suttas and more of these things and break the barriers and then get on to the real journey of breaking the raga. You have Rupa Raga now. So now you is getting into jhana is a piece of cake.
Mhm.
It just, you don't even have to put up any effort.
Yeah.
It's just there. Just
Mhm.
like you have an iPad in front of your place and then, or maybe Vision Pro. You just put on the Vision Pro and you're done. By any chance, do you have that at your?
I did, but someone else has got it at the moment.
Okay. So then just like you put that and then
Mhm.
your stream out of that and then you just do like this and this comes and that comes in the same way. You would have this experience of
Mhm.
entering into jhanas and exit at will. The beauty
Mhm.
part is, Chenial, in the next few days, you can literally enter, just like you enter into tunnel and you exit out tunnel as many times as you could, no matter whatever you're doing. You might still be bathing and you can enter into that. And then you're there, you're into the 7 jhana
Mhm.
and you want to eat and then you lose perception and then enjoy. But you
Mhm.
can't lose complete perception because then you'll not wear anything. So basically, you would come to a stage where whether you're eating or you're sitting, you're standing or walking or whatever you're doing, you're in the 4 arupa jhanas and you can get into the 4 rupa jhanas at will.
Mhm.
Once that concludes, once it solidifies in the next 7 days, you get this cessation once, complete cessation. It's nothing existing. And then you can replicate it.
Mhm.
Okay. You can be sitting on your, at your porch or your swimming pool or at this tennis court or whatever places you have, or at your own place as your desk here. And then you can just say, gone.
Mhm.
Then come up, come up. It's just like, playing with lights. Then you get bored of doing that,
Mhm.
basically, because it's like a toy. Now that just you do it, lights goes away, it comes back. So after a while, you feel, okay, what next?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the time, it solidifies. And that would be the last time you would see this happening, meaning you can keep on doing this. It's not a big deal.
Mhm.
So then it becomes part of your life
Mhm.
forever. Because
Mhm.
now you don't have the sensual experiences at all.
Mhm.
Meaning, it's not that Bobby doesn't exist or Chirag doesn't exist or none of these or Half Brick Studio doesn't exist. It's not about giving up something. It's just that you just take it the way it is.
Mhm.
That is, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's created. So you would know for sure yourself that anything that is created is destroyed.
Mhm.
So you wouldn't even be into the part of creation, and neither part of destruction. You're just an observer. And that witness is the one you have to delete it, which is an arhat. where I'm stuck today.
Mm.
I'm stuck with this witness guy because I am the witness. Okay, from that point, that's just a dot. That dot has to get erased.
Mm.
Then the avijja is gone. So Ruparaga is going to be there. And another thing is going to happen to you, Shaniel, is in next couple of months, whatever you wish will come true.
Mm.
That's the most dangerous thing to have.
Yeah, sounds dangerous.
Yes, whatever you wish, it just happens. It just manifests. Be careful in manifesting wrong things because that
Yeah.
also will get manifested. Good things also get manifested. So when you touch someone, you're literally transferring your energy to that person.
Mm.
You need to be very careful. Like people, when they touch my feet, I'm literally transferring them my energy.
Mm.
Okay. It's very dangerous because if they don't have a proper attire, it hits them like crazy.
Mm.
Meaning they'll get into physiological and psychological issues.
Mm.
So generally it is not recommended to touch, and then we are in a place where touch and okay, so some people don't even go near to anybody touching them or whatever it is. But you're in the Western world, so that becomes, even in Indian world you can't do it these days. So then Western world is out of question. So you might be touching females, you might be touching males, you might be touching whatever you're touching. It doesn't do anything to you,
Mm.
but it does a lot of things to them. It shakes their complete inside out. So the physiological changes would be there, and the psychological changes also will be there. This will not happen tomorrow. So you can just relax. For now, it will take a good amount of time, at least
Okay.
not before August end is when I expect you to start getting these weird things.
Mm.
And for no good thing, people will start appreciating you. Meaning you didn't do anything, but they feel that because of you being there and the things start working. It's just beauty part of it. You don't have to do anything. You just be there and it works. Okay, you just be in the line and then somehow things will start working. Like Ashwin knows it. Like I went to the US embassy, and before he could even settle down with his computer on, and I was there in front of him, and I'm done. He said, "What? I got my visa,"
Mm.
which he thought that I'm going to come in the afternoon. So then he has to take me to his home back because we didn't have any other place to go. Okay, so you would get whatever. I mean, you just wish this to happen and that happens. You wish that happens and that happens, like that, and then you're pretty cool state of your mind, and nothing harm is going to happen. But for some people, it might create disturbances because of their own defilements, not
Mm.
because of you. So it might turn out a little bit in a very odd way for them when they touch you or do something with you. Not your children, maybe they, if they are very sensitive, then they will also feel that. If they're not sensitive, they're taking you as a dad, and then
Mm.
they might not even notice anything strange happening in them. But my wife and son notices it if I do something, and then they feel that the surge of energy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they can feel that I'm pulling something like that. So but I lose a little bit of energy while doing that, but then it just gets replenished. So so then you will start to see that you can cure somebody or you can heal, and all of these bad things will start to manifest. Not that you should use it, but
Yeah.
use it with diligence, that it makes sense, and don't stare at anybody for a long time. That's not going to happen tomorrow also. It's going to take some time. But if you keep on staring with that person, that person, you can pull him, if you can start reading his mind completely.
Mm.
Okay, so that I will speak to you when I meet you face to face, and we can play around with reading each other mind. And anyway, Bobby will be there and he wants to do something. So we will read out Bobby in and out. as of subject matter.
Mm.
Okay. So
Thank you.
it would be fun. So this, I believe, should happen to you. Entire gamut of that should happen to you in September, early September to end of September. So July, August, September. Yeah, 3 months.
Mm.
You would be a completely transformed person.
Thank you for the heads up and the advice. I appreciate
So then you are sure as an Anāgami. Even now you are, but then you would yourself see that happening.
Mm.
And then you to test it out. Okay? After this happens, after this September happens, whatever you say in your company will work.
Mm.
It can be whatever. You just say this is how it works, and that's how it works. And they'll be shocked. If you say we will make this much million Australian dollars, you'll make that much million Australian dollars.
Mm.
And that gives you a bad reputation for yourself called as mana,
Yeah.
vanity. Okay,
Yeah.
that's hard to drop. Because
Yeah.
now it works. It beautifully works. Okay. Then you have restlessness coming up to liberate, which itself is a hindrance. So you get Ruparaga, Aruparaga. So you're just like a normal person goes into Kamachanda whenever he's in trouble. You and I will go into Ruparaga, Ruparaga when we are in trouble. So we can enter into Jhan and escape.
Mm.
Okay. So it doesn't hurt you at all. So that one thing you can see happening in you by September. That no matter whoever is fighting can never fight with you.
Mm.
You become invincible. And that's again a danger, but you'll really see it for yourself happening. No matter how many times you go to whomever it is, you just enter into argument, two people are arguing, and you go there, they're frozen.
Mm.
That's amazing experience to have. So you will have mana, you will have udacha, you will have avidya, you will have ruparaga, you will have aruparaga. Welcome to the gang, which is even more worse than having kamachanda, because these are
Exactly.
higher fetters. These are higher fetters where you cannot let it go.
Mm.
Okay. So it's like I was hanging on to the lower fruit and now I'm hanging on to the higher fruit. Okay. But
Wow.
I'm still hanging on to it. So by the time I make a visit to Australia at your home, I think I will find some solutions which I'm finding for myself. I'll also find some solutions for you, because now you're in the same bandwidth, or same frequency,
In the same boat.
same boat. And then we need to cross the river. Maybe we'll go to Maruchi River and then try to cross Maruchi. We'll see. So if that's the case, once you see it, we need to break this in all states of existence. Meaning, we can't be sitting at home as we had planned earlier. We have to be across
Mm.
and sit in the most crowded places and erase. Just like now, the question is all about erasing it,
Mm.
not holding on to anything, no holding on to any experiences, just giving up and giving up and giving up and giving up. It's not that we're going to get sensual. No, you'll not have sensual, but you will have a conditioned mind. Now it is pure. You're not going to make it filthy because you can't, but you have to let go of this. So for which we require something which overwhelms, also which calms. So then we have to compare between the overwhelming state and the most calming state. In an overwhelming state, you would get into jhana rather than seeing the things the way they are. Right? Because that's a natural progression, that if somebody is into kamachanda, like a Sotapanna or even Puttujana, he would go back to sensuality because he just want to forget what's happening. So he'll start to search for this. You and I going to search for the jhana. So you know what's going to happen? Even if you go to the most weirdest of the places, you'll just put a mat
Yeah.
and done. And it doesn't really matter whether you drove 300 kilometers to do that or you didn't go anywhere at all to do it. And there's a danger here. We'll become lethargic. We will always want to do that, stick to it, stick to it, stick to it. So that's one thing I found out. Like I was doing with Chirag and Aryu and all that. I took them to mall just because I also want to break, because I've still not attained the complete cessation, meaning
Mm.
as arhat. So I need to break. I need to break all barriers. It's not just this much of barrier. This is fine. This is good enough, excellent. It's peaceful, but go beyond where we are. So by September, October, you will come to see for yourself that you have surpassed it. Then our strategy has to change
Mm.
for the better, not for the worse.
Yep. That's really useful. Thank
Yeah.
you for.
So don't have to plan out anything right now.
Yeah.
We don't have to even plan out once we can plan it out after I come to your home, and then we stay for good amount of a week or whatever it is time frame, and then seeing how it is affecting us, how it is working out for us before these guys appear.
Yeah.
30th of December. Okay, we need to see how do we cope, meaning how do we don't have to literally struggle to guard the senses and all that would have happened, but we need to let go of avidya, and for the avidya to go we need to let go of rupa raga.
Mm.
Okay, and to let go of rupa raga, we need to drop mana. Okay, and I have mana. You will get mana by September.
Yep.
So be aware, because whatever you say will work. Now, next time Bobby meets you, okay, and after that, you can literally read Bobby in and out. I mean, you have tamed Bobby. He would be like a pet, and then you can say, Bobby, do this, and then you do that. So that mana will come because it's an automated thing.
Yeah.
Because it works. I mean, you can't stop it. Now, don't try to do something about it. Let it flow, and then depending upon your experience, I don't want to put your experience into my experience and
Yep.
confuse you. You take your experience the way it is.
Mm.
I'm just sharing my thing. It's like I'm just sharing my experience. So you know how to take it or do something with it. I know you will not. So at this
Mhm.
stage, you can't. But still, I'm just guarding it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate
your way of talking, your way of reasoning, your way of dealing with people will drastically change in next few months,
Mm.
and be amazing to see
Oh,
how it is completely transformed from, let's say you were drinking and you're a hard guy wanting, I need it. Today you'll get it. This is a fun part. You know what, Shaniel, is we struggled to get the same thing which you get it without putting any effort. That's amazing. Meaning you say something, it happens. No effort required. Yes, Ashwin, bye bye. So it's a beautiful um, state to be in, and what I can say, filled with happiness and gratitude and all of that. I feel for you, and wish that you make strides like this, and people who are going to listen our video, just like between Sariputta and another monk,
Mhm.
they both being arhats are talking like a layperson. Tell me what is arhat, and how does this happen, how does that happen. So I wanted to do something of that kind with you, because now you can share, you can say This is what I know. This is what I have experienced. So those people who are following Vipassana of Goenka also should benefit. Those
Yeah.
people who are reading Chuladasa also should
Mhm.
benefit. And those people who watch videos and they're watching my video also, they should know that they can't hold on to what I say. They should practice rather than
Definitely.
just hearing to me and getting, yeah, there's one guy who speaks it, but what next? Like what Bobby said yesterday, that the bottoms up approach is not there, because I believe all of these people sitting here already done it.
Mhm.
Because they have done so many courses. So that means watching the breath, they know it. Watching the sensation, they know it, right? Basically, that's what it is. So then why should I start from the beginning? So after talking to you and Bobby yesterday, for the Hindi group, I've brought down the syllabus from PhD level. I brought it down to a third grader, maybe a second grader. So we start all over again.
Good. I think that'll be very beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, beneficial. Otherwise, and also thanks to Bobby, because
Yeah.
Bobby is one guy who has been a conduit,
Mhm.
very nice conduit. I mean, if he had not called me to Australia, I wouldn't have met you. So it's like,
Yeah,
all
I'm very
the,
grateful to Bobby.
yeah, and then his patron, or his patronage and Marin's patronage has paid off.
Mhm.
Yeah, they served me day and night for 18 days. I really cannot repay a single thing back to both of them or to
Mhm.
their children. The children are really great. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks for everything you've done. And also not last but not the least is Chirag and Brinda and Ariu, who's also, because Chirag is one guy who is a very I like him for one reason, is that he has tremendous questions. Okay, so I think technology people have more questions than solutions, because they have been questioned a lot. So he has plenty of questions. He used to approach me with, after this, after that will happen, and after that, and after that, and after that. So now he's actually calmed down a lot. And after meeting you, I think things have worked much better, is what I feel, because now you have made Chirag and his mother and Brinda to sit and do it. And I liked another comment which I heard from Ariu, that you say, enough of talking, let's get into meditation. Such is good. I mean, that I didn't do it. The reason, because it's imperative that you have to do it. I don't have to tell you. So I think
Yeah.
what you're doing is great. I mean, you're doing great for them. Enjoy doing whatever you're doing, and then we'll merge.
Thank you, Vilas.
And for these people, they get top down, bottoms up. Take
Yeah.
whatever you want.
And they can go faster and attain the goals.
Yeah,
much
they can grow faster, because now they don't have one, they have two.
Mhm.
So choose the one, or choose the two.
Choose the two.
Choose
Yeah.
the two. And Mrityunjay, who is Veena's husband, might jump into Australia.
Mhm.
Okay, he is one step. He has already kept one step to Australia,
Mm.
and he would like to spend his hard-earned money and come there. I said, okay, please come. It's not an issue. If you want to come, come. Yep. So then we'll have 9 people, I suppose, at your home, apart from Bobby and Marin and all that being there. So then we'll do something.
Sounds good. There's enough
Sounds
room.
good. And then we'll convert your house into a Vipassana center of a different kind.
Yep. I'm sure I will continue down that path.
Yes, it's going to happen. It's turning that way. And if you ask Bobby, he will jump in there. He'll say, okay, I have this idea. And that was the sole reason why he pushed me to buy that land here. Now he has he's changed his mind. Now that just 40 minutes, he has his kuti.
You will. Okay, Vilas, you have to drop because
Yeah,
I have
same here. Even I to drop. Yeah, Chira, you wanted to say something.
No, I was just trying to joke that the 10-day Vipassana retreat will not stop. It will continue at Sheniel's home.
Yes, it would be continuous 10-day retreats. Okay, all right. Good day, and
Thank you, everybody.
appreciate all that effort you've done, and it has paid fruits to you. Bye bye.
Yes.
Everyone, Saranai.
Sarvan Sarna.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Shannon.